A Cup of Tea is a short story by Katherine Mansfield, published in 1922. The story is set in the 1920s and is from the third-person point of view about the class differences of 20th-century New Zealand under British colonial rule. The tone of the short story is conversational and amiable but turns sullen and discontent by the end of the tale. Rosemary Fell is a wealthy woman, but she doesn't think of herself as beautiful. She's married to a rich devoted man named Philip Fell for 2 years and enjoys a life of luxury. While shopping one rainy day at a fancy antique dealer's shop in Curzon Street, London, she's taken aback by the price of a beautiful velvet box, so asks the shopkeeper to save it for her. After leaving the shop, a young, nervous girl asks her for money for a cup of tea, and Rosemary decides to take the girl home to show that rich people care, and to take out a page of adventure from Dostoevsky's stories. The girl is initially scared but accepts. In Rosemary's bedroom, the girl cries about her tough life, and Rosemary orders tea and food. Rosemary's husband, Philip, arrives and is surprised to see the girl, called Miss Smith. He takes Rosemary to the library to inquire about this privately. Rosemary wants to help the poor girl, but Philip points out that the girl is pretty, making Rosemary insecure. She eventually gives the girl money and sends her away. Then, she enters the library all dressed up with pearls, to inform that Miss Smith left, and talks about the velvet box before asking Philip if, "Am I pretty?" A Cup of Tea highlights how the upper classes can sometimes act self-righteous, doing seemingly virtuous things. But their true motive is to enhance their social image and receive admiration from society. Rosemary's primary goal isn't to genuinely assist Miss Smith but to show off her supposed generosity to her social circle and earn praise. Therefore, the act of offering a cup of tea in the story symbolizes the insincere nature of the upper class and their exploitation of the less fortunate, emphasizing that even philanthropy can be insincere and used for selfish purposes. This short story suggests how genuine emotions are diminishing in society, and people are increasingly chasing after material goods. Rosemary is very focused on material possessions, particularly her strong desire for a beautiful velvet box. She initially helps Miss Smith to improve her own social image and enhance her social standing, but as soon as her own pride is wounded, she sends the poor girl away. This indicates Rosemary as a rather unkind character, with a strong inclination toward material possessions. There is a lack of true emotions and empathy among the wealthy, who often prioritize materialistic desires. The story also clearly shows differences in social class and how people in society are acutely aware of their social status. Miss Smith, dressed shabbily, is from a lower social class and can't even afford a simple cup of tea, a basic necessity, which is why she solicits Rosemary's help. Rosemary is wealthy and enjoys a life of luxury, dressed in fine attire and indulging in expensive purchases. She plans to use the act of helping Miss Smith as a way to enhance her own social image, which reflects her social class consciousness. Rosemary's focus on her appearance and desire to appear benevolent in front of her upper-class friends highlights her preoccupation with her social status. While Rosemary spends money on frivolous items like flowers and expensive trinkets she doesn't actually need, the lower-class individuals like Miss Smith struggle to make ends meet, lacking the funds for basic necessities like food and shelter, symbolized by the simple cup of tea they require. This disparity serves as a poignant example of social class consciousness, where the wealthy are fixated on materialism while the poor face hardships. A Cup of Tea revolves around how things may not always be as they seem, and people often hide their true intentions behind a facade. Rosemary appears kind and generous, wanting to help Miss Smith. But it becomes clear that Rosemary's offer was not driven by genuine empathy but by her desire to boost her social status and receive admiration from her friends. This contrast between Rosemary's initial appearance of benevolence and her true intention of self-glorification suggests appearances can be deceptive. The shiny velvet blue box seems like a beautiful, desirable trinket that Rosemary wishes to own, but she doesn't buy it in the end. The box represents the contrast between its outward appearance and its actual value, serving as a symbol of materialism and the illusion of wealth and beauty. A Cup of Tea highlights how jealousy and insecurity can affect a person's actions and decisions, even in the context of a seemingly simple act of kindness. Rosemary encounters Miss Smith, a young and pretty lower-class woman. When Rosemary's husband, Philip, remarks on Miss Smith's beauty, it triggers Rosemary's insecurities. She becomes jealous and feels threatened by the attention Miss Smith receives from her husband. This is an example of Rosemary's insecurity about her own attractiveness and her jealousy of other women who may be considered more beautiful. Rosemary lies to her husband about Miss Smith's departure. She pretends that Miss Smith insisted on leaving, when in reality, Rosemary sent her away out of jealousy and insecurity. Rosemary's need to control the situation and assert her dominance reflects her insecurity and the fear of losing her husband's affection to someone she perceives as more attractive. This leads to another important theme of the story, which is the superficial standards that society has set for women. Rosemary feels pressured to emphasize her physical appearance to prove her value, reflecting how society often makes women feel insecure, valuing them mainly for their looks, and placing more worth on appearances than on personality and moral values.